What takes video from good to great? Well, there are a lot of things, but some of them they are easier to achieve than others. Sound speed, camera speed, and welcome to another Create Great video. In today's episode we will look at 5 different footage overlays, from simple one to more complicated, and how to use them to make your video stand out. The first one is sun overlays. Let's look at the clip I shot with a friend of mine, Jason, who is extreme unicyclist. So at the beginning we saw him jumping on the stair, which was pretty interesting. Then we've got the following drone shot to reveal what's behind the building, and we see amazing view of Edinburgh Castle. I wanted to keep the master shot, but the more we progress with the shot, it's a bit of boring. To make the reveal of the castle more interesting, I added the sun rays hitting the lens overlay, from the average one to the one that gives you additional character of the footage. Let's look at another example we shot in North Berwick in Scotland. We've got this amazing sunset and the guy paddling on the boat. Let's try to make it a bit more interesting in the same way as we done with Jason. So we will add sun rays. Despite the fact the sun rays are subtle, they give you a gentle pop to your video. Now the question is how you achieve that kind of effect, and it's very simple. What you need is to get this kind of overlays. I personally use lens distortions. I got them ages ago when you were able to buy them with one-off payment. Now they've got the subscription model, so you can get access to the all assets. However, there's so many different companies like Motion Ray, Storyblocks. You can get some for free on YouTube. Basically, do your own research if you don't want to use lens distortion. There's a bunch of them online, so you will definitely find the one you enjoyed. Once you get the overlay, which will look like this, what you need to do, you need to add it on the top of your footage. Go to your composite mode and change to screen. It doesn't matter whatever software you use, you will definitely find that option. Once you choose in the screen mode, you will see how the effect overlays on your footage. What sometimes you need to do, in my case, I needed to flip it from left side to the right side. Sometimes you will need to scale it to adjust more to your footage, but at the end of the day, it's very simple operation. Number 2 is light flares overlay. Let's look at this clip first. So we've got B-roll of cake makeover. Look pretty good. I shot that, so I might be biased. Let's look at the same clip, but once we've got our overlays. And similar story like with the previous one, it adds character to the shot. The different story with this one, we had to match the color of our flares to the light in the background. In general, when you want to use the flare, be sure you've got motivation light like a sun or the light in the background to justify the flares in the lens. So when you look at our footage, the color of the light was purple. However, the original color of the light overlay was blue. To match it, I had to go to the curves, hue versus hue, pick the blue light and adjust to the color of the backlight, which was purple. And the simple example show you, it doesn't matter what kind of light overlays from what kind of website you are using. As long as they match your vision, you can always adjust color, size or opacity and get the results you are after. Overlay number 3 will bring the elements of nature. Let's look at the shot from Auburn in Scotland. We've got the ferry going into harbour. Looks pretty good, but what if we will add an overlay rain? This one gives a completely different character to the shot, and once I posted online and showed to my wife, she thought I was flying drone when the rain was pouring down. And to sell that effect even better, you have to add sound effect overlay of the rain. Number 4 is headlamp overlay, and this one is my favorite one because I made it up. Let's look at the footage first. It's a top-down view from the drone on a friend of mine, Scott, who is running on the snowy hills. This footage was shot at the early morning, but let's pretend it has been shot in the middle of the night. To achieve that effect, we have to adjust the exposure and the color of the footage. Without going into detail, because it's fairly straightforward, I will turn on the layers I used to get that night effect, and to sell that effect even better, we will add a head torch to our talent to get that justification for that torch. If you look a few frames earlier, we saw our talent's code with the head torch already. So once we create this artificial one, it sold the effect immediately. So what I had to do to create a torch, I had to go to the window and create the mask which looked like a torch. I had to increase the feather to sell the effect. The biggest challenge was I had to do manually keyframing for that effect to work. I had to look at his head in the way how he moved the head and then adjust the window to the movement. What was left to go to exposure and brighten that power window to sell the effect. And what I love the most about it, you don't have to buy any overlays, you can be creative with what you have and add value to the story itself. Number 5 on our list is replacing the sky. So we had already rain and snow, but what if we would like to change the sky? Or even more important, we do not have the sky and would like to make one. As an example, I got the footage from a client of a drone shot. We couldn't fly on that day because the weather was very bad, but they had already some old footage. Everything was good apart from the fact the sky was overexposed, so there was pretty much no sky. So what we had to do, make our own one. The challenge might be here, I'm using DaVinci Resolve and it's fairly easy to do it, which I will show you in a second, but if you are Premiere Pro or Final Cut user, you might need to do some research how to replace the sky. So everything starts with the qualifier to select the sky and refine that selection. Then we need to go to effects and find sky replacement. And once we've got our sky replacement plugged into the selection, we go to our artificial sky and we need to increase opacity of the sky to see the sky. And then we've got tons of different parameters to manipulate the shape, look and color of our clouds to match our footage. On the top of that, we can use something which is called hotspot brightness, which will emulate the sun. In our case, I decided not to use it. And what's the most important to sell that effect even better? We decided to track our sky. So once we've got our drone going up, our sky will the clouds move as well. As you see, the simple and straightforward overlay can elevate your footage and you can achieve it in no time in DaVinci Resolve. If you enjoyed it, I think you might enjoy that video as well. Thank you very much for watching and until next one.